Well, good afternoon, everyone. It is just about noon here on Saturday. Wanted to do a forecast discussion update video here. We do have the potential later today into the evening across kind of the big country out to west of San Angelo, all the way up to around Wichita Falls, and then later on moving into North Texas, including the Dallas-Fort Worth area. For potential for some pretty significant severe weather. Doesn't appear to be a tornado outbreak or anything like that, but the potential is there for significant, possibly baseball sized hail and some pretty severe storm driven severe wind gusts. The storms are going to initially kind of fire up, then they're going to kind of merge together in a line and then push off to the east northeast. And that's probably what will more than likely impact the Dallas Fort Worth area here later on into the evening hours again on Saturday. So, right here, wanted to take a look at kind of what the HRRR model is showing for kind of mid-afternoon. And first thing that you typically need if you're going to see a significant hail threat are really two main ingredients. You're going to need that instability to really build in the atmosphere. That's going to propel those updrafts. Really, the way that you get hail is that it starts as normal rain droplets. And as that updraft is strong enough and it really carries it up 20, 30, 40, 50,000 or more feet in the air, way up above the surface that far, it's extremely cold. And so these rain droplets continue to move up because that updraft is so strong given the extreme instability. And those rain droplets keep going up, they get heavy enough and they start to fall, but then the updraft is strong enough that it continues to bring them further back up. And so when they have longer to be in that sub freezing temperature, that's when those droplets freeze, they freeze together, and then once they get large enough, that falls as hail. And so if you have a strong enough updraft, that's how you get those water droplets to be suspended long enough to be that massive hail. And so that does look like what could happen today. And so to get that extreme instability, you need pretty warm temperatures. You're probably not going to get that on a 60-degree day. And so when we look across kind of North Texas into Northwest Texas, we're seeing temperatures in the mid to upper 90s by mid-afternoon today. So certainly going to have enough of that heat to foster that extreme instability. And then certainly another component that you need is you need that moisture. And so again, what we're looking at here is by mid-afternoon, we're going to have kind of upper 50s, low 60-degree dew points across much of Northwest Texas here, kind of Abilene to Wichita Falls area. And then as we progress a couple hours forward by about 5 or 6, now we're getting these dew points where we're looking at oftentimes mid 60s, even closer to 70 degrees and 70-degree dew points over the Dallas Fort Worth area. So we're going to have some pretty significant moisture. If you go outside today, it's probably felt like, I think the slogan is the air that you can wear. It's real thick air. That's due to the pretty extreme dew points that we have here on a typical kind of May day. So more than enough moisture, more than enough heat. And so that's what fosters that pretty significant instability. And a way to look at that is kind of our surface-based instability here. Let's back up to around 4 p.m. We can see that the instability here, these red and yellow colors, down here around San Angelo, we're looking at over 4,000 joules per kilogram of surface-based instability. A little bit further north, mid to lower 3,000 joules per kilogram. This is pretty significant instability. Anything from 1,000 to 1,500 can foster severe weather. And so when we're more than double that or we're in the 4,000s, that's some pretty extreme explosive instability that these storms really have to feed off of. And so that's how you can get some pretty significant hail and severe weather as well. Um, so certainly we have all the ingredients in place here for some pretty significant severe weather. And let's look at kind of what the models are showing for kind of timing and threat area. So this is looking at 4 p.m. later today here on Saturday. We have our first initial storm, probably a little bit west-northwest of the Abilene area, a little bit north of I-20. And then as we progress a little bit further, we get a couple more storms, one up here kind of near that Vernon, Seymour, Texas area. This one starts to mature again, kind of that Sweetwater, a little bit north of their area. And then as we move forward in time, it really starts to take off around this 6 o'clock time frame. Now, models tend to have a pretty consistent bias of showing storms too late. And so if this model is showing a 6 p.m. Kind of picture of storms, likely you can always take about maybe 2 to 3 hours off of that. So my guess is that we'll start to really see storms first pop probably around 3 o'clock, and they'll be relatively ongoing by that 4 or 5 p.m. time frame. So this may be a little bit late, but again, we can see from Wichita Falls down to kind of that Abilene, Texas area, and then even west of the San Angelo area. We've got multiple individual cells that pop up, and these could all be capable of not only severe wind gusts, but also that large hail. And we could see an isolated tornado or two as well. If any of these storms can kind of stay by themselves, not get messed up with other storm mergers and interactions, they have clean air, they could certainly produce tornadoes. And so as we move forward in time, we start to see that these storms kind of all get kind of clumped together, and then they start to move off to that east northeast. And this would be showing around 4Z, so that would be around that 11 p.m. time frame. That would be showing really impacting the Dallas Fort Worth area. Again, I think we could see that sooner, maybe around that 9 time frame. We could see Dallas Fort Worth start to be impacted. And one of the risks that is out there today is that this could form what's called an MCS, or kind of a mesoscale convective system, which means that all of these storms kind of get together in a line. And typically you can see some pretty significant wind damage with some of these big clusters of storms. So I think initially, early on in the day, we could see, a storm that's isolated like this near the Abilene area. Certainly could have a tornado threat. Wind gusts and large hail would be the main threat. And then as we move further into those kind of evening and overnight areas, especially, looks like Dallas Fort Worth area is going to be that kind of prime target. I think we'll see a pretty significant damaging wind threat with these storms, maybe a little bit less of a hail threat once we get that daytime heating to kind of go away. But definitely looks like a pretty significant severe weather day across much of kind of north and northwest Texas. If we look at the threat areas outlined by the Storm Prediction Center, again, we have a 2%, so non-zero, but minimal tornado risk, kind of Dallas Fort Worth area, Wichita Falls, down to Abilene and into the northern hill country. So could see a tornado or two, but not any type of a major threat there. But we do have a significant 30% in this red, and then the hatched area here. Potential for significant 2+ inch hail. Again, kind of west of Dallas Fort Worth, kind of in this triangle from Fort Worth to Wichita Falls down to around the Abilene or even San Angelo area. And then certainly a wind threat that's a little bit further north and east with that cluster of storms overnight. So could be a pretty significant severe weather day overall for kind of Texas and southern Oklahoma. Definitely, if you have plans outside for this weekend, not only is it going to be warm, but we could see some significant severe weather. So make sure you have a way to get different watches and warnings. And if you see a storm coming, certainly would recommend taking that seriously, because we could see some pretty significant hail or severe wind gusts with this. So hope everyone has a good day. I'm going to be out chasing. I'm going to head out here before too long, and certainly we'll try to have a live stream if the cell service will accommodate that. So hope everybody has a good Saturday, and I'll see you again for the next video.